Okay, so the time right now is 5:58 p.m. on September 2nd of 2017. The United States thus far has made it to September. Sometimes that's a bit surprising, but with the way everything's going on in the world, who knows what's going to happen tomorrow. Um, in any case, a list has been brought to my attention, or mainly I discovered it on YouTube, that I found to be fairly interesting and at the same time quite deplorable. It's a list of 10 demands that Black Lives Matter movement has made to white people. Now, why they're only limiting demands to white people is beyond me, but in my opinion, it honestly just goes to show how much of a racist and hateful movement this group really is, which I'm sure you watched. There are probably a few people out there that are going to give me some backlash over that statement later on, but I don't really care. It's the truth. If you don't want to look at it that way, that's your own opinion. To me, it's pretty much a fact. I'm going to only talk about two demands on this video, and then I'm going to switch gears over to Antifa, which have made a fairly interesting movement as well, and I'm hoping to get my views expressed on this, and I'm also hoping to get some feedback on this and let me know what everybody thinks about this. Okay, so to Black Lives Matter. Demand number one. Excuse me. White people, if you do not have any descendants, will your property to a black or brown family, preferably one that lives in general poverty. Now, let me talk about that one for a minute. If you're a person of any race or color, and you have no descendants, and you have a fair amount of property, I suppose it is reasonable to donate your property to a charity group, something like that, to which it might go to somebody who is in need, but to simply will it to a specific group that you know nothing about, that's kind of sketchy in my opinion. Also, first and foremost, I live in an apartment, but I do plan on one day owning a home. And the way I'm going to eventually own a home is through a lot of hard work. It takes money, not just to purchase property in a house, but to also be able to pay the property taxes for it, as well as the homeowner's insurance, which you have to have in order to own a home. Now, somebody who lives in poverty, I get it. You're in hard times. I understand. I've been in hard times. I'm definitely not on a easy road, not even currently, and that's being full-time employed. However, you have any and every chance to succeed. If you're in hard times, you're at the poverty level, there are programs designed to specifically help an individual person and to help families. If you choose to remain at the poverty level, more often than not, it's because you're choosing not to take advantage of these programs. And some people will say, well, I've got felony convictions, I've got bankruptcies, I've got things that won't allow me to take advantage of some programs. That's understandable. You're not always going to be able to take advantage of a program that's presented to you, but there are programs designed for specific situations. Whether you're a felon, whether you're in bankruptcy, there are programs available. You just have to be willing to do the research, take the time to find them. And second, if you choose not to take advantage of such programs, or you choose to milk the welfare system, which a lot of people do, of every race and color, that doesn't mean that because I worked my butt off, I should just will my belongings to you. You have to work for everything nowadays. I've had to work hard for everything I have, and I don't have much, but what I do have, I worked hard for. And there are no free passes. So to will property to a black or brown family, in my opinion, that's asking for a free pass. If I'm going to will anything that I own to somebody, first and foremost, it is going to be my kids. I'll admit I do have descendants. But if I didn't, I'd probably still will it to a family member. I would keep what I have in the family. All of my cousins have kids. Hopefully what little bit I have, if I had not produced children of my own, hopefully it would help their kids out later on. In my case, I've got kids. It would go to them. So my point on demand number one: work hard. If you dropped out of high school for whatever reason, there are programs available for you to go back to high school, enroll back in school, get your education, and then work your butt off, study your butt off. Those two combinations are going to get you. Those two things rather are going to get you where you need to be. I mean, you might not be living in luxury, but you're going to be fairly comfortable. So that's demand number one. Demand number two, and I'm only going to cover these two. White people, if you're inheriting property you intend to sell upon acceptance, give it to a black or brown family. You're bound to make that money in some other white privileged way. Wow. First off, not only am I going to make a demand that you give whatever it is that you're planning to sell to these particular people, but I'm going to slap you in the face while I make such a demand. Really? First and foremost, as I've stated on a couple other videos beforehand, I'm Hispanic. My mother is a white Caucasian. My biological father is Mexican. Now, but white privilege, I fail to see how a white privilege even exists nowadays. It's under the misconception that because of somebody's color of their skin, they're immediately entitled to special treatment that is superior to another person's treatment. I'm here to tell you right now that's not how the world works. Again, nothing is free. You have to work for it. And if you don't work for it, you're not going to reap the benefits thereof. Some other white privileged way. I keep coming back to that because I've been called white before because I'm fairly light complected. But even still, because of my skin color, nothing has ever been given to me. I've had to work for everything I have. I've got white friends that were never given anything. They've had to work for what they have. I have black friends who worked hard to get what they have. They weren't given anything, so where this privilege comes from, I have no idea. It goes along with a sense of false entitlement. I get it, there were various parts of our history that were dark and horrible, but that does not automatically entitle you to something here in 2017. Especially if you're thinking it's going to be a free handout. That just don't happen. You want a free handout and say you're still in high school, excel in sports, and maybe you'll be lucky with good athletic performance and academic performance. You might get a scholarship and a free ride to college. That's about the only free handout you're ever going to get. Because even then, once you get that, you got to work your butt off at that sport, and hopefully you get picked up by a professional sports team. Then you might be able to say you got a good ride. But even then, you're going to have to work for it. So those are the two things I'm going to hit on as far as the 10 demands go. Those are my feelings, thoughts, and my point of view on that. The second development that I recently became aware of is that Antifa is quote unquote splitting away from Black Lives Matter. Now, both are a fairly radical movement, both are fairly radical groups. In my opinion, they're both terrorist groups because they willfully use intimidation, threat of violence to force their political points of views onto other people. And they're, especially with Antifa, they've said that they're trying to overthrow the government. The only thing Antifa hasn't done is gone forth with the effort to make an official declaration of war. Fortunately, Black Lives Matter, they're not that stupid. And for that matter, neither are Antifa. Let's face it, in an all-out actual war, I firmly believe our National Guard would absolutely crush both groups, even if they were to work together. In any case, back to the splitting apart subject. Apparently, at a rally, a member of the Crips, a black individual who was a member of the Crips, got in a verbal altercation with a white member of Antifa, and that Antifa member went as far as to shove the Crips member. Now, first off, I've said before in a video to which I was asked to actually take down, so that video is no longer up on my channel, but I had said before that gangs are not going to intimidate me. And I stand by that. You guys do not intimidate me. However, there is a time when you have to use intelligence over, standing tall and proud. Even if I have a group of people with me that share my point of view, I'm not going to go as far as to physically assault a member of a violent street gang when there are several other gang members with him. First and foremost, I'm not going to put the people that are with me in jeopardy like that. Because a street gang, if provoked 9 out of 10 times, they're going to resort to violence. And groups like the Crips are known to be packing weaponry. Not little clubs and sticks and shields that Antifa seem to make out of whatever it is they have available. They're known to carry guns. A little homemade billy club is not going to win in a fight against a gun. It's not going to happen. Not unless you're close enough to the person to where you can actually grab the hand that has the gun. Then you might stand a chance. But for the most part, it's not going to turn out good. But that verbal altercation that turned physical, rather, was enough for both sides to really start chomping at the bit to go at each other. And from my understanding, ever since that happened, Antifa has gone on video and said, hey, we're no longer going to support Black Lives Matter. In my opinion, good. Let both sides seek their own self-destruction. That's, in the end, what they're going for anyway. If they don't destroy themselves from the inside, they're eventually going to push the right button and push the right people too far, and the government's going to have to step in and destroy them. Or they'll just be labeled as another street gang, and that'll be that, and they'll be treated as such, which wouldn't necessarily be a bad move either. But all in all, bad move by Antifa. That was by far their strongest supporter. And now they've crossed the line with them by separating from them. They're not going to get that support anymore. And Black Lives Matter, they're no longer going to get the white guilt that they've been getting from Antifa members. Now, is that to say that all of the members are going to have that feeling? No. No, some of them still are. They'll still support each other here and there. Various little groups and sections will. But in the end, they're dividing themselves up, and that's when the American government is probably going to seek to conquer them. And some people are going to say, "Oh, wait a minute, you're talking about conquering people now." I'm not really talking about conquering people. I'm talking about conquering movements, and very violent and terrorist movements at that. And there are a few gang members that I've had arguments with that claim they're not terrorists. And if you happen to be watching my video, all I'm going to say is look up the definition of domestic terrorist, and you're going to find that your group fits that definition. So, I mean, I'm sorry if you're, actually, no, I'm not sorry, but if you're a member of the Crips, the Bloods, MS-13, the KKK, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, for that matter, you guys are terrorists. You really are. So, that's my 16-minute rant. Like I said, I'm really looking for your comments on this one. I'd really like to know what all you guys think about this, and ladies too. But let me know, and if you wish to discuss anything about anything I've said, by all means hit me up. I'm all for questions, and I'm all about having a conversation. So with that said, everybody have a good evening. Stay safe. The United States is being absolutely crazy right now, so stay safe.